Alrighty, welcome back for another episode of Growing Clawson, Clawson Chamber of Commerce podcast powered by Hooper Marketing. Today we are here joined by the illustrious Mayor of Clawson, Sue Moffitt. Thank you for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you, and we're excited to jump into all the fun of the city and you and life and all the joys.
Let's go.
So, really when we jump into this, at least for us, a majority of what we do for the Clawson Chamber is focus on, businesses and stuff like that. But I looked a little deeper when we were planning these out, and with conversations with Walter, our amazing producer, we thought it would be cool to expand and sit down with, the mayor and maybe in the future city officials and different people like that, to be able to give people a full perspective and have a larger audience to understand what's going on. So normally we break this down by different sections. The first section is sort of like opening personal background, giving people a little bit more information on you. We know you're in the witness protection program, and we can't. That's why your face is blurred and you have that modulated voice, because that's our mayor.
You got to explain that story though, because
I'll leave it up to you.
So, I'm not a fan of having my picture taken. In fact, I was looking at the pictures from this most recent Memorial Day thing, and I'm like, oh God, I look like a bowling ball or whatever. I just do not enjoy having my picture taken. So back in the day, it was just I would say, oh no, I'll take the picture, or like my pretend excuse to get out of pictures was always, sorry, you can't take my picture. I'm in the witness protection program. There you go. So, but you call me out all the time. You're like, in your wrong line of business. You
are in the wrong line of business, especially when you work with me, because I forcefully make people in pictures. That's literally my job, is get everybody together, smile, picture, ribbon cutting, whatever the case may be. So yes, our mayor is not in witness protection. That's just a fun joke. I get where you come from on those pictures, because I saw some of those pictures, and I always make the joke, I feel like I'm Ricky Bobby from Talladega Nights. I'm like, I don't know what to do with my hands. So you'll see me in some where I have like arms crossed, hands in pocket, behind, like holding up my belly. Like I'm just like, what's going on?
Well, I know that if I smile naturally, like my eyes disappear, so I always look like my eyes are closed. Like ever since I was a baby, my mom always used to complain about pictures of me like with my eyes closed. So yeah, we see all these pictures of ourselves, and then you're like, oh gosh, I can't believe I look like that.
It was like when I was appointed, it was Michelle who took my picture, and I was just like, I don't even look like I'm smiling. It looks like I might have stroked out. One side looks a little lower. I'm like, what is going on? And then, of course, that ends up on the front page of the Oakland Press. I'm like, awesome. I look fantastic. That just went to tens of thousands, if not 100,000
for
people.
all of posterity.
Like, fantastic. All right. So in this first section, basically, like I said, we're going to go over sort of personal background. So first question is, what inspired you to get involved in public service and eventually run for mayor?
So, I guess a lot of things. I've told the story before about my parents were active people, politically active. We always worked on campaigns and a variety of things. My dad was very involved in the church. He was very involved in Focus Hope when it first started, but we also were always involved in campaigns. And so, whether it was going door to door, or always back in the day before everything was mail-in, we would work at the polls for candidates, like the whole election day. I remember when one of my dad's best friends was running for school board, making phone calls with the list, sitting on my parents' bedroom floor with a old dial-up phone, calling people and that kind of stuff. So we were always involved, always been tuned in to politics. It's funny because that's how my kids grew up. And as they started going out as teenagers and going to other people's houses and whatever, they would come home and go, Mom, not everyone talks about politics all the time, right? So Back in 2016, 17, it was part of, groups whose one of their founding thoughts was all politics are local, and wanting to get involved. The kids were grown and moved out and didn't care about me anymore. And so just, looking for sort of that second act sort of thing to do. And so got involved and ran, and it just took off from there. It's crazy to think that it's been like 10 years,
Yeah.
So
that just shows the commitment, the level, because this, that one, never been mayor, but two, just even being a council person is, difficult in some aspects because you see it from a totally different side.
Right.
You see the tougher decisions. You see the, neighbors that you live next to that may not agree with what you do, or, vice versa. And it becomes tough. And I've said this since I've, realized it. But local politics I feel like a bigger deal sometimes at a level than national, because you are dealing with those people who are your neighbors, your loved ones, your people that have been in your life for X amount of years. And your decision may hit a little harder home than somebody who's sitting up on Capitol Hill making a decision for everybody.
Right. They're that many degrees removed from it. And that's one of the things, I think I struggled more with it during my first term, because I did 4 years, took 2 years off, and then ran for council again. And I look back at those first 4 years, and I think I was very worried about sort of pleasing the public to some extent there. And then kind of in those 2 years that I took off, and we all know the history, rebel roused and did whatever, I think that when I went for the second term, I felt more committed to, these are the things I believe in, these are the things I'm going to fight for, knowing that someone's always going to be mad at you, right? There's always, and that's the difficult thing that I think you were speaking to, is that you very closely see both sides of the argument, and there's people you care about and you want to stay connected to on both sides. And at the end of the day, you have to be comfortable with your own decisions, have confidence in your own convictions, and just move forward that way. And that's, we're not always going to disagree on everything. We're not, and you just have to decide where you're going to go with things and how you're going to sort of advocate for your position.
Yeah, and I think tying back into that, having that close knit and what we sort of work with is, again, our position's nonpartisan. Like when we sign up, it's not signing a, Republican or a Democrat or an independent or, whatever other party you can fall under. We are there to represent everybody. Mm-hmm. And, we can come with our own beliefs, or we can come with different things like that, but it's an opportunity to hear everybody. And that's what I look forward in the position. But it can definitely be the other challenging side of it too, because somebody who gave you an attaboy yesterday could be saying, I'm disappointed, or whatever the case may be today. And it could be over something that you thought, or you made the right call on, but they don't see it that way.
Well, and that's, two things with what you just said. Number one of the things that I think it's so important to foster on our council is that all opinions get heard. And it's not, I'm not going to disagree that,
Yeah.
I don't like what you said, or you're wrong, or whatever. We all express our opinions, mm-hmm. and then we vote based on that. But also, and I totally forgot my second
It's okay.
point. But it's, the winds of opinions that are going to change pretty frequently, and you need to make sure that, again, you're voting with your own conviction.
Yeah, and that's something that I've definitely fell into, and I appreciate the insights, because, being so new into it, where you're coming up on, a decade in it, it's, it's a very different perspective from, you to me. Like whether we, have the same beliefs in some things, your approach to it can be definitely different from mine, because I come in as, more greener in that position.
And, that's so true. And I try and, especially like when we were going through the budgets. Like, this was wash, rinse, repeat. I've done it for several years now with a bunch of different methodologies. Yeah. And, seeing some of the council members sort of struggle with it, I had to sort of step back and go, Susan Ann, this is the first time. And I remember when, and you guys are at a disadvantage to some extent too, because basically everyone is new. Mm-hmm. And even, Councilmember Tinlin served before, but he had just a little,
snippet.
Right, a little snippet in it. So, yeah, this is new for everyone, where all the other times when I started on council back in 2017, I had Howie, God bless Howie, right? Howie was there, and Woolley had been on for a long time, and Albrecht, we had a lot of experience on council with us. So I could sort of sit back those couple years and just observe, whereas, you guys are in it.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely jump right into it, and it's head first. It's not feet first.
Sure.
And it's not always the deep end of the pool either. So you definitely feel that. But, the thing that I always go back to is that, and I tell people, whether you disagree with me or you agree with me, I want to have those conversations, and I want to continue to hear those. And I'm never going to say, oh, well, I disagree and that's it and move on. I want to understand, because the more I can understand, not only in the council sense, but as a human being, I just become better,
right?
Because I can see and I can understand different sides, and I think that that's the most important thing. And I feel like that is a big miss in today's politics that we see. And this will turn fastly into Walter's favorite episode, because he loves going down those rabbit holes, politics, conspiracy theories. So let's move. That was just the first question, and that we spent about 10 minutes on that one. So let's jump into the next one. What do you love most about the Clawson community?
Gosh, so many things. I'm trying to form my thought here. I think I say it all the time, and I mean it with all sincerity. Clawson is special. There were neighbors who come together for neighbors. We have an amazing community. We have amazing downtown. We have events, and we have facilities, and there's just something special about it. I regularly, people don't leave Clawson. I was sitting, you've been at my house in the evening. We all are on our street. Either people are sitting on my front porch, or we're sitting on someone else's front porch, and we're chatting.
It's community.
And I'm always amazed, people I didn't even realize, oh yeah, he went to Clawson High, they grew up. People just don't leave the community because it's special, and there's roots here like you don't get anywhere else. We're kind of like a storybook sort of community, with how we all stay here and stay together and continue the whole Clawson spirit.
Yeah, it's very interesting, because there's also a lot of people who may leave physically but are always here. Yep. I have chamber members who have moved and live further out in Michigan, but they come back here and they support this community because they see how special it is, and they want to serve because they still have family here, or they still have ties here, or they just even the walking through downtown and feeling that special feel. I actually showed a picture, and I'll show it to you after this. I don't even remember if I did show it to you, but it was me. My mom sent it to me this past weekend, and they're doing that flag thing for picture with you and a flag. And she sent me a picture. I was like maybe 11, 12, and we're sitting right where the old House of Optical used to be, across from Key Bank, for the 4th of July parade in Clawson.
Right.
That's 22, 23, almost 24 years ago, and I'm still, I may not have went to school here, but I have that connection here because of being, growing up in the area and finding that place. So, I just thought that was special. So I really resonate with that, because I think that that's important about what Clawson provides for everybody.
I remember back in the day when my parents were alive, and having people over at the house for 4th of July. And it was after we had our whole tradition. You went to the parade, you went to the fair, you went home, you took a nap, you went back to the fair, and then came home and we had our regular, we would make foot-long hot dogs and cheesy potatoes and all that. And I remember sitting on the porch and my dad just shaking his head saying, like, this isn't happening in Warren. This isn't happening anywhere else because the street is packed. There's people walking everywhere. Everyone's outside. There's a party. There's a sense of community. And, like, that's sort of the Keystone Day, but it's indicative of who we are.
Yeah, it's the connection to everything. It's people who, who build their summers around fall, the Clawson Fest and the car show and 4th of July, and now we have the Clawson Market Days.
Yeah.
We have so many different things that people come here and resonate with, and I think that that's the important side, and the goal is to continue to grow that,
right,
and show that, and I think we've been doing a good job with keeping those old traditions that are amazing and partnering them with new opportunities. Yeah. I love that. So for you, how has your perspective on leadership changed since taking your role as mayor?
Interesting question.
I'm full of them.
You are. I was nice there. I just want the record to show.
Listen, it was funny. Before you answer that, I have to preface this. Walter goes, so this has got to be like a really nice podcast, and I go, we can do it however you want. We're here to have fun, and I know you'll pull the trigger sometime, so we got to watch out.
So how's my perspective of leadership changed? I think it's changed a lot. I stress and struggle over it because I really want to do a good job, mm-hmm. and I want the residents to have us as a resource. Mm-hmm. I want to be able to make a positive impact on the things that I feel need that, and I think I'm learning how to embrace my fellow council members on the dais and let everyone shine with their strengths and when to sit back and when to sort of shepherd. I think it's been an evolution. There's been things I didn't expect to be there that I'm learning to embrace and get better at. Mm-hmm. And then there's things that I thought would be a thing that just aren't. So it's been what, 4 or 5 months, and it's a lot. It's a lot more. It's a lot different. You know what I'm trying to say.
I get where you're coming from.
Than being a council member. It's sort of the same, but it's different. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to just sort of keep myself in check and always strive to be good at that.
Yeah, that I can definitely see where you're coming from that, because just as the perspective from council, you go up there and you have your opinion, while you're there, corralling the show, making sure things are going on. And, we've had our fair share of fun throughout the first, handful of months. But I think that's a cool way of looking at that, to be able to understand the perspective. You want to be able to help everybody, but you also have to be able to, have that, control to be able to move forward with those things that are needed.
Right.
Because the community, although we would love it, doesn't always just run off of, unicorns and rainbows.
Right. We need more unicorns.
We need more unicorns and rainbows. But we struggle, understanding that sometimes, at least, I know I have in the past, and I know other people have, because there are decisions that need to be made, and it's, not always unicorns and rainbows. Sometimes it's, thunderclouds and scary clowns, and that's just what it is. So for you, so this next sort of section that we're jumping into, that was, a little base on the, background of mayor and stuff like that. if you want to, we can dive into personal, but it's up to you.
I'm game.
Okay, so personal it is. So a little background on you, I guess. Tell me a little background on you, family, Clawson connections, in this area. What?
So I've lived here 34 going on 35 years. Grew up in Warren, Levin and Ryan. No. Never heard of Clawson before, right? Didn't know what it was.
That's what a lot of people say.
Right? But back it would have been 91 when we were looking for a house. We ended up in Clawson. And so I have, how personal you get? I, was a single mom from the time the boys were in the early 2000s. So my 2 adult children now, 34 and 31-ish, raised them. Ish. Well, because his birthday's in October, so he's not 31 yet.
That's fair. That's fair. Just checking,
Yeah, so raised the boys, had a full-time job, but we were involved in everything. So my boys played basketball, football, baseball. I was the Cub Scout leader from Tiger Cubs all the way through boys, nice. Popcorn captain, all that kind of stuff. We did everything. Was on the athletic board, so we were always involved and we were always active. Mm-hmm. And I think that was part of sort of the reason that once they were off and living their own lives and not caring about their mother anymore. I kid. Anyhow, that I looked for something else to be active and fill my life with. And so, there, of course, there's always times where you're like, all right, I got to do something this night and this night and this night and this night. But it's kind of what we always did. And I don't know what I would do if I didn't have that in my life. So
yeah, it helps connect you to the community and, give you a little bit of additional purpose after,
Absolutely.
Because, when you're tied in with kids, through at least the, 18 years, your life is filled,
right.
Especially if they're playing all those different sports and you're bouncing around and, that can be a lot. So then being able to fill that's awesome.
And to have a purpose. I think, I have a full-time job and I'm very proud of the work that I do there, but, mm-hmm. but I do that to get paid, right? That's my
it's not your passion job. It's
right.
It pays the bills.
Right. Well, and to some extent I am passionate about benefits, but it's not like, it's the company and they can cut me loose any day, right? They're not but having something that I can be proud of and feel good about that I'm doing. So
yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's deep enough on the family side of things,
okay, good.
Which would be good. We don't need to go any deeper. So this next section is city growth and development. So this first question is, what are some of the biggest opportunities you see for the future of Clawson?
So one of the coolest things that I actually never really thought about or considered when I decided to run for mayor was being part of the DDA. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of like the bonus opportunity with being mayor. And I feel like being a part of that and being involved in some of those decisions and activities and with those people, mm-hmm. I find that that's really exciting, especially even I feel I have to be very serious at the council meetings and be the mayor, but at the DDA meetings, I can kind of just a little bit be me, right? And
you can listen to all the fun that goes on at the DDA meetings.
Right. Like I'm not in charge and I don't need to worry about it. But just seeing all the different things that the DDA is doing and that are happening downtown, like being in the know, all mm-hmm. the new businesses that are coming in, and being part of the market day thing, mm-hmm. I had the opportunity to work the first one, and it was an aside from the goat, which I'm still thought was awesome. But
the goat will be back on the 13th.
Oh, that's awesome.
Been confirmed.
But it was neat to see people stopping by. What's going on? Oh, that's so cool, and mm-hmm. Talking to some of the vendors, and so that's a really neat opportunity. And as I tell people about, that we're doing that, mm-hmm. and you can get a mimosa at Whiskey Tango and walk around with it. And so I think that those kinds of things, the things being developed through the DDA I find really exciting. Like I said, it wasn't anything I was ever involved in before, and it's kind of like the little bonus opportunity.
Yeah, it gives you good insight to what's going on. You can see a business that comes forward and needs a liquor license approved, or needs something special change in the ordinance or something like that. But you get to see that inner side of what the business is going to become and get ready for the ribbon cuttings and all those things. And then that's an additional bonus. You get to participate and welcome those businesses in and experience something that you might not know.
Right.
If you're not looking for like Core 34 Pilates, if you're not looking for a Pilates class and then getting hammered after, you never know. There's an opportunity for something. That's Walter's favorite thing. He goes and works out and then gets really drunk.
I can only tell you, since that council meeting, I've told so many the story, like people my age, the story, like, I just could not wrap my brain around Pilates and then drinking. Like, how does that work? But it's a thing.
I bet you, if you go like, your boys live in Chicago. Uh-huh. I bet you it's massive in Chicago.
I'm
get
sure
a lot of those young girls where they're just sort of looking for that community. And they go and they work out, and then it's mimosas after,
You're 100%. I tell everyone, the young folks on the council are like, Sue, it's a thing.
Come on, Sue.
I know, right?
Get with the times.
Every young person I talk to, they're like, yeah, that's how it works.
That's normal.
And then the people my age were like, what? So
yeah, you Pilates, you drink, and then you go out back for a pack of smokes, and that's your workout. And that's the workout I did for 10 years, and that's why I have such a wonderful physique. That might have been too personal. Walter, cut that out. No, I'm just kidding. So I appreciate that side, because I think that's what drove me to participate more, not only from the chamber side, but just being a part of the community. Prior to council, I was on the DDA. So being able to be involved and see those special events that go on in the connection in the downtown and surrounding areas, I think it's super cool.
Yeah.
All right, next question. How do you balance growth and development while maintaining a city's small town feel? Because this is a topic.
Yeah, that's a big question. People are like, if I'm shopping at Meyer and then people are like, oh, aren't you the mayor? And I'm like, yeah, I am. And they always like, well, what's going on we're at the old Burger King thing, and what's going on over here and what's going on over there. And if you go, oh, well, that's apartments. And yeah, there's apartments at PNC. And then they're like, what's with all the apartments, right? People get stressed about that. So it is a balance, there's a housing crisis all across the country, especially in 100%. Oakland. Right. And so that's what people looking to invest are looking to do, because the apartments get filled and people want to live there. Mm-hmm. So I think that to do the balance, it's, understanding, looking at the ordinances, like the PNC people, that poor guy, I was on council when we went through that, but we fought really hard to make sure that building was going to fit what we thought the community would be, right?
Fit the parking specs within the ordinance, right. To fit the facade, to fit the height, differential, like all those different things. Yeah, I remember.
And the types of the apartments and all that kind of stuff. I think that's how we do it, right? Mm-hmm. Is make sure that it's the balance between, this is a really good opportunity for a tax base for the city and to, grow dilapidated property and that kind of stuff, but making sure that we just don't give away the store, and that we fight for the things that need to happen to make sure that our small town feel, our culture, the whole feel that we have going on, the vibe is protected.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback off that too, because I think it's important for people to understand that a small town can still be a small town with proper development and guidelines. But if we don't ever develop or follow those guidelines or do it properly, that's when you can have those issues. But on the other side of that, if you're never going to develop and you want to keep everything encapsulated on how it's been for the last 50 years, those are the ways that towns die. Those are the ways that cities die. Those are the ways that those small municipalities cease to exist. And we don't want to be eaten up by Troy or Royal Oak or another municipality, but we need to be able to look at the opportunities for growth. And for me, at least from my side, 34, I bought my house in 2021. And that was the peak of everybody overpaying for homes, but you had a great interest rate. If I was to buy a home today, I do not think I could afford Clawson.
Right.
And as a community as a whole, if we want to continue to develop and grow our young core, our schools continue to go this way instead of, up instead of down. I started doing that as if, I know we're in video, but I should probably say the words too. Our school population to continue to grow instead of, decline. If we want to be able to have influx of money in downtown and all those different things, it's that younger population that you need to go for. So the ties in with these developments of properties are super important. And I've seen plenty of people who've, I can't believe we would need that many. Well, yeah, it doesn't mean that people from Clawson are going to move out of their homes and move in there. Right. It's going to draw people into the community, those younger people. And as we continue to develop restaurants and storefronts and different things like that, there's going to be a larger need for people who want to live within a walkable downtown. And I've seen the difference with Royal Oak and Clawson, and we are definitely not Royal Oak, especially with our ordinances. Yeah, we got to put that out.
We have free parking.
Right? Yeah, we got free parking. That's gonna be the biggest sign on our float for the 4th of July parade. Free parking.
But it's true. So I was talking to a young person at work, and I started off with the Pilates thing, but it was her birthday, and she was talking about where she was going to go out. No. And I'm like, listen, Chris. Free parking in Clawson. You can walk to 5, 6, 7 drinking establishments, and
and you won't even break a sweat.
Right. I mean, well,
depends on who you are in the day, but
I told you the story, right? So yeah. I think my age is out. I'm 62, going to be 63 this year. I am the younger of most of my friends, and we all went out. My one friend's 75 and 65 and in our 60s, and all of us cool old people, we went out the day before Thanksgiving, and we started off at Gus Snuggs, and then we walked over to Renshaw's, and we walked from Renshaw's to Burger Bar, and we're not spring chickens, but we did the bar crawl.
you created your own bar crawl, and you made it, and I tell people that all the time. And don't get me wrong, I definitely break a sweat walking downtown, but normally I'm walking in, suit pants and
bunny suits
and if you ever see me hopping around town in bunny suits, or there might be another video coming out with a different suit, that's for later. But I think that's important, is we are such a walkable downtown, and I grew up working and going to Royal Oak a lot because the downtown was developing, and it was booming, and it was all these things, but the parking was always the toughest thing. And if you were to find parking, and say it was not even paid parking, say you were able to find a side street you park on, then you're walking 12, 15 blocks to make it to your bar or to this. When here, you can park on one of the 4 corners and you can hit all the central downtown. And even if you want to go a little further, you've got the Hideout, you've got these, bars and restaurants that are sort of on the edge, Osaka, but it's not that far. Your Uber costs to make it from central downtown to Hideout or to Osaka is probably like less than $5.
Well, and that was, I guess, the tie-in I was thinking of when I started down that diatribe was with all the apartments. We get those people who maybe can't get into a house yet, but they get into the apartment, they experience downtown, and they get drawn in, and they start, getting that affinity and feeling like this is a place they want to call home. And so
the connections.
Yeah, it's the connections. It's back to the connections.
Then maybe there is a change in the mortgage marketplace, and then they can buy a home.
Right.
Or they can afford a home, or there's an opportunity, or maybe there's an influx in the market. And it would be fantastic if we could develop single family homes for everybody. That would be amazing. I would love that. Give everybody a yard, X amount of space, 1,000 square foot. But one, space-wise, you're never going to hit that. And two, monetarily, I mean, it doesn't make sense. I mean, some of the new homes that are being built in Clawson today are selling for over $700,000, which is insane. You know, I don't think I'll ever see that money in my lifetime at the rate I'm going.
Right.
You know, so, and even if you think about it, I was talking with somebody today, so my mortgage, even from 2021 with 3% interest over 30 years, when you pay that all out, you'll be paying more than what the original purchase price of the home is.
Right.
And that's from a very reasonable percentage. Not so reasonable purchase price, but that was booming then. Right. If only I was old enough to buy a house in the '08 crash and had the fundings.
Yeah. And it's the taxes on top of that too.
Oh, I know.
That it's, so I bought my house back in 91. I don't even tell you what I paid. Make you cry. But
I stopped myself from making a joke there, so we're even.
It's the mortgage and then the taxes on top of that, and so
because $700,000. So for most people, and if you've ever come out to a chamber event, I mean, when you look at your true, your personal property versus your true property value, you have you say your home sells for $700,000. They are going to tax you on about a half of that. And at the tax rate that we have, that could be well over $20,000 a year just in taxes.
Right.
And even for me, for somebody who bought, in 2021, I mean, our taxes are absorbent, and we're under 1,100 square feet. I mean, we have a beautiful home and a beautiful lot, and I would never trade it for the world, but that's even crazy. Home built in 1954, and it's just it. So yeah, I mean, we could go down that rabbit hole forever. We'll be here for hours if we keep going. We're going to move on to the next question.
Awesome.
So what projects or initiatives are you most excited for right now, or things that you're working towards?
That's a good question. I think that one of the things that's been really important to me is creating an environment where we're responsive to residents' concerns and thoughts. And too often in the past, concerns will be raised and not answered.
Fair.
And I feel like there's a lot of support on the dais that when someone comes to a meeting and they, during public comment, talk about something on the agenda or something not on the agenda, I try not to let those just go off into ether, right? We try and address that, make sure that we find an answer, or we bring it up and we have a discussion about it, because
something that's put on a later, or hey, can you come back and let us know what this is so we can have an answer for it?
Right, because I think that is if you want to look at one of the most fundamental obligations of our job, it's to not just listen and have it go in one ear and out the other. It's to embrace those thoughts and do whatever we can within our reach to address that. So I think that's really important. And we have I don't know if I want to talk about this, but we do have we have the concern of the Renshaw apartments, and that's a tough one.
That'll be a very tough one.
But I've said, we've talked about it. I think as long as I've been on council, it's been an issue, and I've always advocated for, we need to have a plan. We need to have everything in mind of what's going to happen for scenario A and scenario B, because they're real people in those apartments. And we can't say we're the big city with a little heart, and like the truest test of our commitment to that motto, thumb our nose at the people. And so I think that it's one of those issues that we talked before about seeing both sides. And our job is to, as much as possible, meld all the concerns and come up with as much of a win-win scenario that we can. And so I think that's definitely going to be one of the cornerstones of our time here, what we do with that and how we address that.
Yeah, nothing like getting pushed down the road until we have to deal with it.
Right.
No, and I think that's an important thing to talk about because obviously, I try to live and die by the little city with the big heart because I think that's super important, and I put some would say probably too much heart sometimes into things, because I get to the point where I care and then it not that it hurts me, but it's like, you're like, oh, I care so much about this moment, but it's because it's important to me and because of the development of the community from the smallest little pebble in the corner of, Elmwood and 14 or, like the connections of everything, it could be on, there's a little crack on Elmwood and Crooks Road, like it's every little thing matters because I think that the more that we develop, the more we can continue to grow as a city and continue to see better benefits for people, better things. So it's tough.
I have a question for you along the same lines. One of the things I think we talked about how we're emotionally invested. Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this. On council nights, how long does it take you to fall asleep on a council night?
Oh, God.
Right?
You don't want to. First off, it's actually funny. Walter knows the reel that I'm going to reference in this, but I made a joke reel with my gym trainer this morning, and I'll show it to you afterwards. But essentially, it's about functioning on very little sleep, and I do not sleep after councils.
Right? Because
I'm wired. I'm either exorbitantly happy because we did a really good thing, or I'm really sad because it was not a good thing, or it's in between because I don't know, where we're at or where we're moving with stuff. I mean, I'm wired.
Right.
It's like I pounded an entire thing of coffee and then additional Red Bull and 5-hour energy, and I'm just like vibrating.
It takes so long to stop your mind from just reeling. It is exhausting. Yeah, it's exhausting.
I normally work the next day or work out the next day.
Well, I don't do the workout, so good on you.
Well,
but
you'll be starting soon at the Pilates studio.
Well, yeah, if they're serving mimosas, I'm there. But yeah, I mean, so but I think that speaks to, it's not like we go in and just do it and go home, go, whatever. Like we're all so invested, and it's so just sort of emotionally draining for good or for evil or whatever. It's just exhausting.
Well, the other side of it too is, I mean, we all work
right
day jobs, so we're already emotionally drained from just being at work. And then we have, like, what's that, the calm before the storm of a meeting. And then we get into a meeting and then, it's almost like emotions wave, and then you hit those things. And I mean, I would love to be somebody that could just shut off. And most of the time I am, like in life where I'm, I did a bunch of manual labor today, mowed the lawn, did a bunch of stuff outside, and I go shower, lay down, and I'm out like that. But when you have so many, when your synapses are firing on like all cylinders, like you're a vintage Mustang that's just starting up and you're rearing and revving to go and you're warmed up and you're ready, and then by the time it's over, you don't settle down like you used to.
It's hard to turn off. Yeah,
it is because it could be, even in a situation where we made a good decision and something gets through or we pass it or whatever the case may be, there's, at least for me, I always have a devil's advocate playing in my head where I'm like, well, did I do my due diligence? Did I do this? And I've gone back on many decisions already where I'm like, all right, yeah, that was right, but I can see where somebody could be upset with that, or I could see where somebody might be this, or and that's tough too. And then it goes back to that thing. We are speaking for people that are our neighbors, are our loved ones, are our family. And that's not easy.
It's not.
Because they're also the same people that will come to your door and say, hey, what the heck?
Right.
Or, hey, good job.
Right.
And I've had that both ways where I've had somebody, randomly out in downtown who's just like, oh, I really appreciated, what you said and what you did and how it turned out. And then I've had other people who have been like, I didn't really appreciate that. And that in itself is an emotional roller coaster, because at the end of the day, I make the joke I'm a people pleaser, but it's true. I care about people. But I also have to work to try to make the right decision, just like you do, just like the rest of council does. So yeah, it's tough. Sue's turned this around on me. I'm not being interviewed here. Get out of here. That's why these are so chaotic. So this is a little snippet I always added in there, because why not try to get a good response on what the Clawson Chamber means. So for you, what role does the Clawson Chamber play in strengthening the community?
So I would also say, again, over my tenure being involved in the city, I've seen the chamber change and what it maybe was before and what it is now. And I will say that what I've seen this is going to build up his ego, but I'm going to be honest.
That's what I'm here for. My ego boost of the show.
What I've seen you do is, take it from maybe a shadow sort of organization. I remember we had a council member who was very anti-chamber, and he said, oh, it's a lobbying effort and that kind of thing. And it maybe was and maybe is in some communities. But honestly, what I've seen you do is want to take the chamber and make it a tool and a marketing opportunity for the city, for businesses. You're constantly advocating for, what we can do, what the businesses can do, who's out there, how can we get the word out, how can we advertise, how can we get the conversation, socialize the businesses and that kind of stuff. So I think I've seen the chamber definitely grow in the right direction to be like an integral part for the businesses and the people that want to know what's going on. There's a lot of time. How many people have I said, well, here's Alex's number, give him a call and
I get those calls, texts, emails. I get all those.
So I think at its heart, it needs to be a resource for information, and it's growing into that. So whether you want to start a business or you're looking for a business, can it do, who can do X, Y, and Z?
Yep.
You really made it a fount of information and an opportunity for socializing what Clawson is and can be.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And then, to cap that off, I think it's really important. The direction we've been moving is to focus on not only those businesses, but the community. So providing community members to be able to come out to events like our Grow Clawson. You don't have to be a chamber member or a small business owner. You can be working in an industry. Like we had Dr. Adam Duberstein do his presentation on mental health and owning a business or working in business, and things that you can do to work off of that. And I think that's important, that people need to know that it's not just, oh, you got to be this. You can come out and enjoy those events. Maybe that might hit home for you. Mm-hmm. Or it could have been the previous month where it was Lynn Eads who talked about, her postpartum doula, and you could have just had a child and you're going through all these different emotions and you're trying to figure out where you line up with it. So I think that's a thing that I'm really trying to push, is it's not just a business to business, it's about the community. Because then once you're about the community, those businesses, they mold into people's everyday lives. It's going to Whiskey Taco, it's going to Grand River Nori, enjoying those restaurants, or it's going to the rock shop and getting your, chakra, rocks.
I love the rock store.
Main Street Rocks, it's the best. But there's so many other, stores, whether it's grabbing. We had a meeting the other day, and I was super, super hot because it was like finally super nice out. And I was walking around, and I grabbed their white peach refresher at Cave.
That sounds good.
Oh, it's so amazing. It got a little sugar in it, but no caffeine, so you like balance it out, and it works out. So yeah, that's my little snippet on I put this in for every business or people that we talk to, because I do think that obviously I work for the Clawson Chamber, but I do think the Clawson Chamber is important in the community. So this next section is about community and public safety. So what are the biggest concerns residents are bringing to city leadership today?
It's funny you ask that, because I feel like right after I was elected, there was this flurry of emails, and they've kind of died off a little bit. I haven't gotten a lot. I think in general, obviously, Clawson's a fairly safe community. We're not, we're not immune to various crimes and that kind of stuff. But the thing that I think that I see most often is sort of people reaching out because they're having an issue with the neighbors burning stuff, or like someone's overgrown lawn, and they're looking for, well, how can I have the city sort of be the bad guy and go instead of...
I don't want to be the bad guy.
Right. And I will have to, I will say again, and I think I've said it in chambers before too, that again, being mayor, I've had an extra insight into our chief of police, and I am amazed that she answers every email timely and thoroughly, and she's engaging and she's willing to do all the research. She's just been phenomenal. Anything I've sent to her, she has responded and addressed and gotten taken care of, and as well as the new code enforcer guy too.
Yeah, Chuck.
Yeah,
Great
he's
guy.
he responds to the emails, he addresses the question, and even if it's not what the people want to hear, it's the answer.
Yep.
And so I think and that's all I ask. Like, let's be responsive. Let's let the community know we're going to get answers for you. Figure out as much as we can. And so, I think that we don't have a huge systemic safety issue, and that's because we have the right people in place to address the issues as they come up.
Yeah, I think that's important to say, and definitely shout out to Chief Baus and Chief Engel and Chuck and Nick and everybody that makes that sort of section go around. In our community, there's so many other people that I didn't name, but I think that it's important that people know that that's the thing, and the other side of it too is, yes, you're right. It may not be an answer that they want to hear, but it's also the level of how municipalities work. Things don't get fixed right away. We try to do those things as fast as possible, but it can be tough, whether it's money or it's time or it's
guardrails and what even the code enforcer can do. There's that you got to follow. This is what we can tell your neighbor to do or can't tell your neighbor to do, kind of thing. We
can't go mow the lawn for them, even though I did do that for my neighbor the other day, but that's because he separated his shoulder.
Oh, no.
But you can't just take it into your own hands. We have to follow the correct guidelines and procedures and things that are set into place. So we're not living in a world of anarchy because,
anarchy bad.
Anarchy no good. That is for sure. But so what are some ways residents can become more engaged in local government?
I love it when the chambers are full for a council meeting. That is not only letting us know that you're engaged, but just to look at faces when we're talking, right? And I do look and gauge reactions and that kind of stuff. I mean, I don't think since you've been on council we've had an empty chambers.
Oh no!
Well,
I mean, the last one was our quickest one that we've had since I've been on,
and the lightest attendance. But there's times when seriously, Mr. Casera in the corner is the only person that's there, and so it feels. So I think coming to the meetings is important to see what's going on and staying engaged. I think that there's lots of volunteer opportunities and coming to the events too and talking, feeling free to talk to your council members when you see us, at Cave or at Meyer or wherever, because we're all, we all want to engage with the community. So just letting us know what's on your mind and whatever opportunity works into your life. Whether it's coming to a meeting, watching a meeting online, sending us an email,
volunteering. There's so many opportunities, and I tell people all the time, like, stop me and talk to me. My wife may not like it for a second, but I love it. I think that makes me feel more connected to the community, even when people may not. It may not always be the best.
Right.
I want to hear all of it.
Right.
You know, and I think that that's super important.
And not everyone's at that point in their life where they have the bandwidth to volunteer.
True.
But just engaging is all, you know, like that's the simplest, easiest thing you can do. Engage with us. Tell us what's on your mind. Like you said, one way or another, we need to know.
Yeah. And that's how I run the chamber. I tell members all the time, if you think that there's an event that we can do that can be better for your business or for the businesses in the surrounding area or for the community, tell me. I want to hear those things, because the more that we can develop and the more that we can do, it shows a value add not only for the businesses but for the community. If there's always something going on, you know, you're more inept to be there than, you know, seeing us twice a month at a council meeting. You know, if you're there on the weekend for a Clawson Market Day, even if you're just shopping, not volunteering, you're just supporting the local economy that sort of helps us make the world go round in our small little 2.2 square miles.
Right.
I make that joke all the time. I rarely leave the comfort of my 2.2 square miles. So last question in this section is, how do you approach difficult or divisive community issues?
Oh, gosh, we don't have any of those.
Never.
You know what? It goes back to what I said before. You need to listen and hear everything that's out there. But at the end of the day, you need to have confidence in your own convictions. All of us were elected because people heard what we had to say during the campaign and said, you know, I like what you have to say and I like what you've presented, because we covered a lot of that stuff during the campaign, and you have to go with what you're going to be comfortable with, the decision you're going to be comfortable with. There's a resident who emails frequently, and she always closes with, "Sue, I know you're going to anyhow, but you got to be true to yourself." And at the end of the day, you know, when we sit up and it's 2-3 in the morning after a council meeting, we need to know that we made the decisions that we can be comfortable with. And I think that's you know, and you just have to go with it, knowing that there's so many voices out there. There's going to be people that are mad and people that are happy, but as long as I made the thoughtful decision that I am comfortable with having, you know, stand by what I said, that's all I can do.
I like that. I think that that's important, you know, being able to stand by your own convictions. And, you know, there's always going to be moments where your brain, you know, plays that devil advocate, or you bounce back, oh, what if? But being able to stick true to those convictions and work on those things are very important. And, you know, I try to develop that each and every day in my life. And it can be tough, too, when you care about people, or you go back to the people pleaser aspect of, you know, some people's personalities. And I can definitely tell you that has affected me before, you know.
I think it's particularly difficult. And again, I think I felt this more in my first term than I necessarily do now. It's difficult knowing, like, you're an elected official, and you need the majority of the votes. You need more people to like what you've done than dislike what you've done. But you can't make your decisions solely based on that. Yep. Especially, like you said, at our level. Maybe, you know, if we were all fancy and in the federal government or something like that, then, you know, we can do whatever we want. But these are our neighbors, and we're very close to the people who are opposed or agreeing with us. And so you know, it's you're trying to balance. Well, I need to keep the voters happy, but also you need to be able to be true to yourself.
That is very true. I think that's important, and it is definitely a tightrope that you can be walking, especially with local municipalities and local politics, because it is the stuff that touches more close to home. Not saying that it's not important on a national scale, or it's not this, but, you know, it goes back to the adage you hear from some people, well, you know, it doesn't affect me directly, you know, or those types of responses, when in reality it does affect you directly, no matter where you're at, national or local. But the local can feel more personal. It can feel more contentious.
We pay our water bills just like everyone else. We pay the taxes just like everybody else. We drive the roads. We everything that we vote on affects us directly, just as much as it does everybody else.
Yeah, and those roads are fun. That is very true. All right, so we've got a couple more questions. These are sort of a little mixture of vision and fun questions, and then we'll jump into Walter's corner where he's going to ask you normally anywhere from 2 to 3 questions, and then we'll wrap it up.
Alrighty.
So as we sort of get to the end of everything, where do you hope to see Clawson in the next 5 to 10 years?
Clawson's pretty awesome the way it is. Mm-hmm. But, you talked about needing to grow and keep our small town charm. And we keep harping on the Pilates bar studio. But I do love it. But I think it's a perfect example because me going, Pilates a bar, what the heck? But the young people like it, right? So it's making sure that we keep the charm that has been historically us, but we let, the only constant is change, and we let the new ideas and the new concepts find a home and be welcome and become part of the fabric here. Yep. And so, anything from the established things that have been here forever and ever that everyone loves, but also some of those new concepts that it's going to draw the generations coming in that different things are important to them. Yep. I think that's the way we do it.
Yeah, and that sort of ties into talking about getting involved in the community. Obviously, with what makes sense for you as a viewer or anybody who's focuses in on this podcast, is there are a lot of things that people things that we love, things that are staples of this community. One is the 4th of July committee. Without the 4th of July committee, there is no 4th of July event.
Right.
And those are going to be the areas where we need those younger families, those younger people stepping in, because there's going to be people who get older and that people leave and things like that. And we even saw a transition this year with the 4th of July committee where the treasurer, stepped down, and that was a lot of different moving pieces that people don't really realize because somebody is doing that, and that's a volunteer position. Not saying you need to volunteer to be the president of everything, but come out, check out a meeting, do those things. Same goes for local clubs like the Lions Club or the Knights of Columbus. As those clubs continue to, as time continues to tick, you see a lot of those members that age out, but you don't see as many people coming in. And it creates sort of like that age gap. I'm a Lions Club member, and that I think is super important to show if you want to continue not only the fun car show that we have every year, but the Lions Club gives back, tens of thousands of dollars to Leader Dogs for the Blind and different organizations, Pendleton, and they've recently changed their name, but there's a diabetes. I can't remember what they just changed their name to. My brain is going to hurt on that one. But so many different things that they give their money back to into core research or people who are blind who might need a leader dog or, different things like that. And as those organizations age out, they disappear, and then that funding disappears, and then those events disappear. And so I think that that's something that people need to take a look into, and it's not just, I'm going to volunteer for everything and I'm never going to have any time. Don't do what I do. I can tell you that right now. But find something that you care about. Find something that resonates with you. It could be the 4th of July that you've been going to since you were 2 years old. Come hang out at a committee meeting or volunteer for 2 hours at a gate or, do the parade or, do something like that. And that could spike an interest. But I think that that's a very important side of it. And it was funny. I'm starting to interview myself here, but it went back to where you sort of trigger that when you're having that conversation of like 5 to 10 years where you want to see those people. And that I had to pop that in there because I think that that's super important. All right. So now on to some quick fun questions, and they can be speed round. You don't have to give long answers on these bad boys. What is your favorite local restaurant or hidden gem in town?
It's hard to pick. I have an affinity for Gus Snuggs because I like my Irish heritage and the Irish music and that kind of stuff. So that's the one that always comes to mind.
That's fair. Gus Snug is wonderful. Dimitri does a good job with everything that they do. If somebody or someone visited Clawson for the first time, where would you tell them to go?
I usually take out-of-town people, although I just said I love Gus Nug, but I usually take them to Mojave for dinner because everyone loves Mexican.
Yep.
And if you can get in, I can never get in, but if you can get in to Weiss Distillery, like that is such a
special.
Oh my gosh, yeah. If you can get in the speakeasy thing, it's just awesome. So definitely those two places.
It's tough. See, the mayor can't even get into
I know,
Weiss.
right?
That's how exclusive it is. That's Dennis. We're gonna need to have a conversation. No, but yeah, I would agree. I mean, all three of those places are fantastic, and those are special places to take people because it's not something you see everywhere. All right, what's something residents might not know about you? Besides witness protection.
Gosh, there's so many weird things about me that
I'm so weird. I don't know.
You know,
Ricky Bobby. I don't know what to do with my hands. Sorry.
I think the thing that I always find that I have to explain to people is what a picky eater I am. And obviously, I mean,
she is very picky of an eater. I can tell you that firsthand.
I was at work the other day. We were standing by the microwave and I was warming up my lunch. It was an in-office day. And one of my coworkers, she showed me her lunch that she was going to warm up. I'm like, I would not touch that with a 10-foot pole. And she looked at me and said, what do you eat? Right? Because I say it all the time. My children say there's 5 things I'll eat, and one of them's potato chips, and the other one's wine. So,
hey, you know, it's funny because, and then on top of being a picky eater, you're vegetarian.
A vegetarian,
too,
yeah.
Which might not be something everybody knows. So that's going. But I always preface it because it's funny because my wife has always been a very picky eater. I've sort of tried to expand what she tries. But I always give it, they always make the joke, girl dinner. So girl dinner is like chicken nuggets and mac and cheese. Like,
okay.
Very basic, you know, like something's not cooked for them. So it's like the most basic thing that they can eat. And that's like my wife's dream. So every time we go to or like wherever we've been and I'm just like, oh yeah, you're a picky eater, well, you can go get chicken. Oh no, you're a vegetarian. Well, you can have a burger. Oh no, you're a vegetarian. And I'm like, well, mac and cheese. Does that work?
No. Tomato sandwich. I love a tomato
sandwich. Yeah. That's fair.
But that's why, like, Gus Nug's got the plowman thing, which is a vegetarian thing.
Yep.
And Mexican, you can always make vegetarian. So
that is very true.
Yeah.
You can eliminate meat very well. And
that's why I used to love Taco Bell all the time, right? You can order anything on the menu, they'll make it without meat.
Oh, Taco Bell. We could be here forever talking about Taco Bell. All right. So last question before we jump into Walter's Corner. What message would you like to share with the residents and local business owners?
I think that if I were to give everyone a message, it would be that communication is important. And, you know, in this environment, the world that we live in today, people are sometimes afraid to express their opinions, but as long as they're done in respectful manner and there's the opportunity to not just express your opinion, but listen on both sides, I think is important. You know, at the end of the day, everyone involved in the city, everyone, whether I agree with them or don't, everyone who's involved in the city has one thing at their heart, and that's Clawson is special, and we need to work and do everything for Clawson that we can do to preserve its specialness and keep it moving forward. And so, you know, that we're all in it together, and as long as we stay focused on the good of Clawson, then everything else is just gravy.
There we go. I love that. All right, Walter, your turn. This is Walter's Corner. He has yet to create a theme song for it, although I'm waiting for it. Because fun little known fact about Walter, he is a musician.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But he keeps telling me he's going to make a theme song for this podcast, too.
You need one.
I don't know what well, see, I normally start every podcast with the Reading Rainbow song because that's my favorite theme song.
That's awesome.
And who was it on the last one that I actually made them sing it? I won't make you
I
say
can't
it.
remember. Yeah, I can't remember who that was.
I literally was just like, all right, this is how we started. I was messing with him. But he definitely has a lot of clips of me singing Reading Rainbow. So
That's awesome.
if he ever really needs
We need
to
a montage
take-
of that.
that'd probably go really viral, but I probably wouldn't be. I'd probably get in a lot of trouble for some of the other things he put in there. All right,
that's
Walter,
funny.
Go ahead.
Well, good late afternoon, Madam Mayor. Thank you for being here today. So I just have two questions for you. My first question is, with the growth and development of the city of Clawson, and I'm an East Sider, so I'm from the Grosse Pointe, St. Clair Shores, Harper Woods, that side of town. So, I remember coming into Clawson with friends. I think when Black Lotus was there.
Okay.
Oh, Black Lotus.
Yeah,
Was good.
that was. I know. Rest in peace. But to see it where it is now has just truly been a remarkable growth. But on that side of growth and development, has the city considered, or would the city consider having a cannabis shop open up in its neighborhood?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Really wait until the end. For this one, Walter.
So point number one, it's not the city's decision; it's the residents' decision.
Okay.
And
Goes on the
it's been a discussion again for all the time that I've been on here. And I think back to when the conversations first started, it just became legal, and there was just the talk of allowing licensing and that kind of stuff. And at the time, in the beginning, it might have made sense because we would have been, first to the gate. But I think now there's not as much of an interest in it because there's so much access near us that it's almost like we don't need to be bothered with the complications of allowing it in our borders, because there's a cannabis shop right over by Meyer, like a half a mile away from us. I mean, that's the only one I know of. I'm sure
Right
there's
across from a school.
Right. There's tons of them so close that I don't think that we need to be bothered with it, because there's no need. Everyone can get what they need. You can DoorDash cannabis now if you want. Like, there's not, and historically, the tax revenue that was supposed to come to fruition for all the cities, it didn't play out like they said it was going to. So
Yeah.
I think that, it's always going to be part of the conversation, but it's not cutting edge anymore. It's not, necessary for access. I don't think that at where we stand right now, just my personal opinion, the benefits don't outweigh the complications it would cause.
Yeah, and it's funny again, not to pretend like I'm the one being interviewed here, but I'll jump in on this. We also have a law. I mean, this over the last couple of years too. I mean, it was put on the ballot through not so correct ways, which then created a very long circuit court case. Which, funny enough, we were involved just reprehensibly because of being the municipality that they were doing it, but it was two cannabis companies suing each other.
Right.
And so it was sort of like I want it first, get it on the ballot, and then gets approved. Somebody else says, no, I want it first, so then sues them for not doing it the correct way. So it's been a long ongoing conversation, and I can agree with Sue on that one. Yeah, my brain stopped working for a second. I can agree with
Whoever this person sitting next to me is.
I've had so many conversations. I can't remember. No, I'm kidding. I can agree with Sue. Madam Mayor. As I bow. No, but I can agree with the mayor on this one, because I think that we have in 2.2 square miles. I mean, our market space for this is, next to nothing. I mean, we have shops that are open. We have opportunities to develop properties, but I think that there would be so many different hoops that a company like that would have to jump through if it gets put on the ballot again and then voted on again, and then if it's approved, then that's a way of moving forward. But it's just a lot of hoops for that, and there would have to be some really nice tax benefits that come back for us for it to make sense where we're at. So I can agree with you on that one.
All right. Okay.
Not to jump in on that one, but that's been a conversation for many years.
Right.
I'm sure.
Well before me.
And then my last question I have for you is, when you are not helping out the residents of Clawson and being the fearless leader that you are, what are some hobbies and activities you enjoy in your spare time?
So I love to read, and we talk about not being able to fall asleep. If I can read a chapter, that helps a lot. But like this weekend when I was looking for things to do, my favorite thing is just go wander around the bookstore. And now that I have a few shekels, well, I didn't back in the day when the kids were little. Mm-hmm. Being able to go to the bookstore and like walk out with 4-5 books that I could just, this looks good and this looks good, is I feel like I'm the queen when I can do that. And then you've heard me talk about it, but the other thing, any Saturday night, you will see me at my dining room table. I do diamond painting. Do you know what diamond painting is? So it's
colors and numbers.
Yeah, it's like a paint by number thing, but there's the little teeny dots, and you put them in place. So I'm right now working on a map of the world. There's 49,500 dots that I'm putting on this canvas, and it's just very therapeutic. I will sit with my iPad and I constantly stream either Big Bang Theory, Friends, or The Office. And I just have that running in the background, and I will just diamond paint for hours. And there you go. Yeah, so those are probably my two biggest hobbies, are doing those two things.
Cool. Thank you.
Diamond painting. My brain would implode.
Oh,
I can't. But that's not because I don't think it would be soothing for me. It's my brain just. I would sit there, I'd get one diamond in, and I'd be like, oh shit, I got so many other things I got to do. I can't do it. Because I'm always moving at such a million miles an hour that I just. Oh.
The funny thing is,
I'm jealous.
The hobby is twofold. It's like many other things. Half of the fun of the hobby is buying the kits. So I have a closet full of kits to be completed. But then it's actually doing the diamond painting. And I've done some, again, like this map of the world is obviously
big.
Huge.
Yeah.
But it's like any other thing. Like, what do you do with them afterwards? So I have a tub. I just stick them in the tub. I have all these completed, hours and hours and hours, months.
Tub full of paintings.
So, some of them I have in my office at work. I've given a couple to friends. They're like, thanks. But
well, we could always do an art gallery, and like our Dillinger and Clawson event where we're showcasing those photos. This could be the Mayor of Clawson's diamond painting gallery.
Please take them.
Yeah. You don't have to pay.
That's right, please.
But you cannot leave without one.
That's right. Your admission is leaving with one of these.
Make me feel complete. All right. Well, that's my brain. I wish I could shut down and do something kind and peaceful. I need like consistent action, and just like my peaceful night is throwing on a movie that has just explosions for an hour straight and gunfire, and that's what'll get my mind off of everything else that'll go. That goes back to my last episode with Adam. I probably need some kind of therapy, but we'll go somewhere else with that. As I stare down the camera lens. All right, this is going to wrap up another episode of Growing Clawson. Thank you again, Mayor Moffitt, for coming out and gracing us with your presence. I really think that people will appreciate this because, not a lot of people will take their time to sit down and talk about, even if none of it was groundbreaking, it's an opportunity to hear your thoughts, from the way that you approach it, to your personal side, to everything. And I think that that's really cool that you did that. So thank you for sitting down with us. This episode will come out sometime in mid-July at this point. Sure. Somewhere. I don't know. We're working on our, I'm working Walter really aggressively and paying him shekels. So, not even it's just a made up currency that I'm paying him. No, Walter deserves this. Plus, he works very hard. But yeah, so this is another episode of Growing Clawson. Thank you for tuning in. Growing Clawson is a Clawson Chamber of Commerce podcast powered by Hooper Marketing. If I can get that out of my mouth. We will see you next time. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you again for joining us today. This is another episode of Growing Clawson, a Clawson Chamber of Commerce podcast powered by Hooper Marketing. Please make sure to like and subscribe and to leave a comment on future opportunities or people you'd like to see us interview.